I decided to go outside America just to take a little break. And when I did the first seminar in Spain, this lady told me about it, and they showed me a picture. And I said, well, I'll come back and see what I can do. So we did a 10 show. Go ahead. For cuatro, we did 10 episodes in Espanol. That was my first time speaking Spanish. Yeah, yeah. Not only they do that, they also dig holes, and they keep the dogs in this hole because among hunters they steal them. Right. And they don't feed them. So they believe, almost like dog fighters, right? They believe that they don't feed, they become a better fighter. It doesn't make any sense. Boxers are a good example. You got to feed the guys and work on stamina, right? But the whole mentality is so.
How could you, if you're weak from not eating, how are you supposed to?
Your chances of killing a rabbit are like 99% less. You're fainting and you haven't seen the light.
I'm going to have you sit here for this so that he can be addressing you.
This lady in Spain has 700. I know I never seen anybody with so many dogs in my life. Not even me. Huh? Yeah. 700, 3 ladies. 700. They have 100 dogs per kennel. I mean, their kennels are huge.
Are they kept? Are they kept in?
Together, 100 of them.
But she doesn't hunt them, no.
No. She goes and rescue them.
Wow.
But this, I mean,
even Audrey doesn't have that many.
No. It's hard to match that number.
Yeah. Does she have help? I mean, she has to have help.
She has 3 Ecuadorian guys, and 3 older women. That's it.
No help from the country, right from the state.
No. America is the only country in the world that has that. In England to a certain extent. You know what I mean?
But England, because of the hunting tradition.
That's right. Well, they took that away.
Puerto Rico, there's a lot of what they call sanctuaries.
But they're private sanctuaries.
Private, but many of these sanctuaries are just horrible. What they do is they just bring the dogs to this area to fence them in, and then they're emaciated, they're not well taken care of, and people see a sanctuary, so they think that the dogs are being rescued and saved. They are being rescued, but they'd be better off, trying to fend for themselves, because some of these places, I mean, I think if it were up here in New York, New Jersey, they would they would have to close down the sanctuaries. But
we call them hoarders here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's exactly
it. Sanctuaries in our countries, are what America calls hoarders. They mean well, but we don't have the means, right? The financial means. We don't have the cultural understanding to help people. It's a lot of education. I mean, America needs education, but the rest of the world are pretty far behind.
Yeah, and I mean, if you have a hoarding mentality, there's really it's a mental disorder. So I've been doing a lot of reading on that, and just to go off subject a little bit, there's really not much to do, and these poor animals are suffering. I'm associated with a shelter in New Jersey, actually, Monmouth County, where you're going to be tonight, and we get these situations at borders, and you can't change them. You take the dogs away, you give them fines, you put them in jail, they go back and they continue. It's a perpetual thing. And
as a third country guy, I come from Mexico, and
right.
Mexico is considered a third country. We work with what we have. I consider hoarders like your emotional soldiers. I will not tell them not to do it. This is your number one rescuers.
okay.
What I would teach them is there's a limit. They don't have a limit.
So how do you teach the limit?
Well, you tell them how many can they rescue, and then you teach them to turn them around. You can't just tell somebody stop loving.
Sure, of course.
And not tell them how to love. You see, you don't want to suppress that. I don't believe in suppressing. I believe in finding. That's the beauty of being a third world country guy, because you find the way. We don't have Home Depots. We don't have the American, help and the government help. What we have is a vast imagination
Uh-huh.
and creativity. So for me, I say, okay, I don't. It is a weakness, but it's a strength to be a hoarder. Their weakness is they don't have a limit. The strength is they will do whatever it takes to rescue a dog.
You're right there.
Oh
Right
yes,
there.
oh yes.
So, but how do you impose limits on people that?
Well, you give them a class. You bring them into a class. You make them part of a pack. Isolating them is the worst thing you can do to anybody. Telling them you have a problem. Oh, that's the worst thing. That's the worst. You send them into a fight-flight avoidance state. You want them to go into a surrender state.
You deal with a lot of hoarders?
Yeah, I deal with anybody that wants to find a way to help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't have a lot of people who are willing to help. We have a lot of people that have an opinion.
We know that, yeah, we know that, so.
I'm ready when you
You're
are.
all ready? Okay, so, all right, Mr. Milan, we would appreciate if you could talk to the, Latin American men and women who are reluctant to have their pets, who they love very much, spayed or neutered for whatever reason. We've been hearing in Puerto Rico that it's a cultural thing. Men don't want to have their dog neutered. They think it'll take away their manhood. So we would like to hear your point of view on spaying and neutering people's pets, dogs and cats, when there's this horrible overpopulation that just leads to animals being abused, mistreated. So if we can hear your take on spay and neuter, please.
Well, number one, as a Mexican man, right, as a Latino man, as a Hispanic man, and as a man that have heard all of those, I guess, what is the word?
Myths?
Myth, yeah, all of those myths. I mean, as a man that has heard all those myths, and I actually came to America with a frame of mind that dogs should never be neutered. But one thing that I never took in consideration or was never told to me is the overpopulation, right? And how many dogs we kill. Because that's what we do, we're killing them. And when we say, I love a dog, but I only love my dog, you're not really taking in consideration the way a dog loves. A dog loves everybody, right? So I think we have to slow down, and instead of us trying to teach a dog, can we learn from a dog how he loves? Because a dog, if he sees that the human is dying, the first thing he does is to help him. You know, and he will find a way, he will unify himself to help that race that he's in love with, right? So in our culture, it's taboo to talk about certain things, you know, or it's not even part of the conversation. I remember when I was little, and if I would cry, my dad would say, "Don't cry. If you cry, you're gay." You know, and then you come to America and you're allowed to cry.
Yeah, you have a,
Yeah, so it's not that we are wrong, we just don't know any better, right? And so once we know, we're going to make a big difference as a community, you know, and that's what I want to invite. I want to make sure everybody knows, you know, everybody understands how can we help, especially in Puerto Rico, which is part of the United States, you know, the country that everybody wants to come to make a difference in the world. This is about making a difference in the world. 600 million dogs die every year, 600 around the world. In America alone, it's 4 to 5 million that we humanely euthanize.
and that number is decreasing. I mean, I remember when it was 25 million. I mean, I've been involved in
Mm-hmm.
the animal welfare field, whatever you want to call it, for 20 years, and back then it was about 20 million in the United States.
Well, what that says about, you know, having so much dogs or so many dogs is we have become a disposable society, you know, and we don't really care about life. And so I like to teach, especially, I like to bring the awareness to kids and everybody else that is willing to make a difference, is that spay neuter is the equivalent of buckle up. It saves lives.
Yes.
You see it?
Yes.
It just saves
Or
lives.
Don't litter.
Don't litter. Yeah, it's just, it's a healthy. I love a quote from Gandhi. The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be measured by the way its animals are treated. A dog, a dog or an animal reflects the way you behave with each other. So what we need to do, we can disagree in political, religion, and some economy, but one thing we should agree and embrace is that the world will benefit by all us unifying about the spay neuter campaign. It just will benefit, right? It just shows empathy and compassion. That's what it does. It shows true leadership. Leadership, or the leadership that I teach, is direction and protection. You are protecting. You see it? It's more than just, as the Latino we might call, well, he's not going to feel good about himself because I just took his, testicles out, and he's not going to protect me. No, the protection is not done with the testicles and the it only frustrates the animal. Most of the bites and most of the time when the dog runs away from the house are related to a dog that is frustrated from the lack of reproducting. And I'm in the behavioral world. Urination, for example. Nobody wants a dog to pee inside the house. The first question is your dog neutered? No, it's not. Well, it's a physiological thing he has to do, and psychological. Plus, people don't do the exercise, discipline, affection that I teach. So it's just at the top of that. So from a behavioral perspective, the dog will benefit and you will benefit, Happy dog, happy home. Would that means that a dog is not going to protect the house? No, it's just, again, they don't protect the house with their private part. They protect their house with their loyalty. That's what makes a dog protect you. But you have to earn their trust and respect. Then they will give you that loyalty. They will protect you. They will protect your family. They will protect the house. Protecting doesn't come from there. That's a huge misunderstanding. All my dogs are spay neuter. I guarantee you can't come inside my house. There's no way in the world. Right. You don't belong there. And pack leader doesn't say you can come in. You see it? So you're breaking the rules. That's what makes a dog protect. Understanding rules, boundaries, limitations. Yeah.
Now, I've heard.
It's another component, which is, so what's the point of me having a dog? I can sell puppies.
Yes.
That's a huge one.
Exactly. Yeah, the economic factor. Yes.
That's a huge.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's more seeing a dog like a farm animal. You know what I mean? Like a cow, like a chicken. Things like that. I understand, but that's for a consume. To consume. A dog is not. It's not. Our culture doesn't see it that way. It's just more like money making.
Right.
But at the same time, most of the people are not educated to have a dog.
Right. I've been reading lots of studies over the years about how do you persuade people to get their animals spayed and neutered, and what will it take? Will it take doing it for free? Will it take giving them something? And one of the things that was found to help is that people who have litters, have their dogs have litters, and they see that, well, wait a minute, if the litter's the puppies are going to a shelter, they're going to be killed, that strikes home. Can you talk about like the
Options?
Yeah, the options of what they could do, but also how it's really the animals, how they're affected, how these poor animals left to reproduce just are left on their own. Like in Puerto Rico, that's there's 250,000. I mean, Juan had made the 100,000. Well, it's now 250. All right, it's never gonna get under control unless we do the spay and neuter, and it's going to take years and years. So, what's the effect by these people not getting their dogs neutered or spayed? I mean, from the dog's perspective, how does it? People seem to relate. If my dog's suffering, well then that hits home something. It triggers something with them. So, can you think of something?
Well, you have two challenges. You have the emotional dog owners, and you have the logical dog owners. The logical dog owners, the only way you can actually help them is by providing them training. Training, and your dog will protect, right? So you bring them and say, you teach a dog, the protection, and guarantee that the dog will protect without the testicles. Because they have to see it to believe it. This is a stubborn human. See, and the stubborn human, you must show them. The emotional human, you show them a video, you show them what can happen, and you can inspire, motivate that action. But it comes down to education. Both of them, what is lacking is education, right? We all agree in teaching English. We all agree in teaching Spanish. We're not really agreeing what's empathy and compassion as a world. It's not as a country. This is not a country-related problem. This is a global problem. Like AIDS is a problem. Cancer is. We all agree we have to find a cure. We all agree we have to find, how can we help humans survive, right? But when it comes to a dog, it's almost like political campaigns. Nobody agrees.
Yeah, that's why you get 20 different rescue organizations in one little town. I mean, 20 separate organizations because nobody agrees. So we find that...
It confuses human.
Exactly.
Human is already confused. And when 20 professionals don't agree, I'm just going to stick to my guts, right? Or to my belief, or to my cultural point of view. And so this is where I can come in, because people do trust me. And we can make a big difference in the world by giving people by bringing my dogs, my personal dogs, and showing their balance and showing their harmony and showing how my dogs help not just dogs but humans, and my dogs are capable to go anywhere. The funny part is in America is dogs who are not neutered don't have as many friends as dogs who are neutered. So one thing that we have to take in consideration is dogs are social species. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and when a dog has his testicles, or a female is in heat, or is a female is not spayed, the only thing she creates is mounting behavior. This is sexual, interaction. They're not playing with him. They're not playing with her. It's more like a sex toy.
Yeah, and if you go to up here, when I go to the dog park, for example, one of the few times that there's any altercations, guarantee the female's not spayed, or the male has his testicles, even though they're not supposed to be there, and that causes the friction. And otherwise, the dogs, they get along, they
Yeah.
play, they have a good time, and generally you'll find that if something happens, sure enough, they're not neutered.
Well, the two main reasons that trigger the biggest fight you can think to the point of killing each other is food or mating.
Okay.
That's instincts. That's just animal, right? So since we're not ready to control a Pomeranian, we're not ready to control that much power. You see, even from a power point of view, we're not ready. We don't have the education. Dogs in our society are more suppressed than allowed to be dog.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we're not dealing with a balanced canine society. Our canine society is not balanced. Why? Because we're not balanced. And then on top of that, you allow one of the most powerful sources of survival, which is reproduction. It's a ticking bomb. Kids will get hurt. People will get hurt. You will not be able to have the happy life that you're looking for to have, because you have to evolve with the world, right? You have to evolve. You have to adjust. Yeah.
One of the great things that you do is address the children, because it has to be, like you said, we teach English, we teach Spanish, we teach math, but we really need to teach humane education. And do you find, being who you are, I'm sure that you get a good response from the kids. I'm sure they love to hear you. Do you find that, do you think that they go home and tell their parents, and that will make a change, make a difference, or does it have to wait for the next generation for these kids to grow up?
World transformation begins with self-transformation. sometimes the kids don't have parents who wants to change, but you imprint. You know, the beautiful thing about working with kids, they don't know what a pit bull look like.
Right,
To them, they're all dogs.
right.
You know, a Rottweiler, a German
There's no
Shepherd.
breed
No.
specification.
They all want to be a firefighter. They all want to be a nurse. They all want to
Oh,
save
they
the
all want
world.
to be a Caesar.
They all want to be, yeah, they all want to help something. That's just part of that stage in their lives. That's when you do your imprinting. That's when you say, this is what's already happening, right? And let you be the next generation that actually solve the problem, because most of us, we don't agree with each other. You see what I mean?
Yes.
And yeah, so that's when you plant that. Yeah, that's why I love to work with preschool and kindergartens. They're in an open-minded. You know what I mean? You know how much it takes for me to take a human, to a grown human, to a calm, submissive state. And the wealthy that is, the most challenging it is, the smartest it is, they are, the most challenging it is. My clients are Harvard graduate, but they can't walk a Chihuahua. That's a shock. Do you understand that? That's a super well-educated human with a degree. But to open this mind, to learn, it takes a long time. But you give me a kid, you teach him rules, manners, limitation, exercise, discipline, affection, spay, neuter, that's the way we go. You rescue a dog from a shelter, you don't buy him. All right, that's what they do.
That's the way to do it.
That's what they do. That becomes the next generation human being, not country. We can't keep thinking about country anymore. We have to think global. We cannot longer live in a bubble. The bubble has to be the whole world.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just curing people here and the disease is still somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, I thank you, and I'm looking forward to you going down to Puerto Rico and lending your help and influence down there, because they can certainly use it. And like I said, it is the United States.
Plus, it's United States, but it has the Hispanic influence, and a Hispanic, we know how to get in. It can be through music, it can be through dancing, it can be through eating, it can be through laughing. There's so many ways where we can inspire people. We just have to know the culture. You know what I mean? So telling what you're doing, what your behavior is wrong, is the worst thing you can do to any culture,
Sure.
right? Because as I always see everything, you know, the way I do dogs, fight, flight, avoidance, you create fight in a second like that. And they ignore you. You're Caucasian, what do you know? What do you know? You don't even know how to dance. That's what they're gonna say that. You know, but once you know how to gain their trust, the heart comes along. You know, that's the beauty of Latinos. That's the beauty of Latinos. We can be stubborn, but at the same time, if you find the passion in us, we will give it, not just the passion, our loyalty. And we will die for you. That's the beauty of Latino.
You don't have to convince me. I married one.
I'm a Latino, so I know what it is. I will die for America. They gave me the opportunity. America, you know, Mexico to me allowed me to develop instincts. And even though I grew up poor and thinking, oh, my life sucks, that's actually where I learned what I know. You know what I mean? But America gave me the sense of direction. You see it? A sense of purpose. And so I say Mexico is my motherland and America is my fatherland. Because that most of the time will give you a sense of direction, and your mom just nurture who you are.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. I'm trying to wait for Junior to come back.
I know.
He's coming back. Because we'd love to get him in here.
I know. Cut.